Chapter 10. Motherly Advice. She could move. The buck covered half the distance before Lillian's brain fully registered what was happening. He advanced another 10 paces before her body responded. She felt a point from the antler nick her tunic as she dove out of the way. The buck reared around and came back for a second attack. Heart pounding, lungs heaving, Lillian got up and ran. Which direction she was unsure. She hoped toward the castle, but at the moment she really didn't care as long as it was away from the rampaging animal. She was now sure she had never seen it in her forest before. She ran as fast as she could, but the buck was gaining ground fast. Lillian tried to weave in between the trees, but her maneuvers were useless. She did the only thing she could think to do: climb. The first decent tree she saw, she scrambled up. It wasn't big, but the branches were thick and close enough she could climb up quickly. She made it about 7 feet before the raging animal rammed its head into the trunk. It hit the trunk with such amazing power the blow almost knocked Lillian completely out of the tree. She climbed a few more feet and secured herself before the buck struck again. Wham! Incredibly, the beast hit the tree with even more force than the first time. The creature backed up again to deliver another blow. Lillian braced herself. Wham! The tree started to lean. This is crazy! What could she do? She couldn't climb back down, but if she stayed there, the tree would fall with her in it. There was only one other option, and Lillian could hardly stomach it. But with time quickly running out, she was left with no other choice. She pulled the bow from behind her back and secured herself as tight as she could with her legs wrapped around the branches and her back up against the tree. Wham! The tree would fall on the next hit. It was now or never. She quickly pulled an arrow back and aimed. The buck stopped for a moment and looked at her, daring her, and started to charge. Lillian pulled her breath in, held it, and released. Her shot was true. The arrow hit the buck between the antlers. Its momentum carried it forward to the base of the tree, which was now leaning at a decent angle. Lillian waited for what seemed an eternity before climbing down. She stayed clear of the buck. She wanted to look it over, but changed her mind now that she was back on the ground. The adrenaline rush had worn off, and she was shaking now. She just wanted to get back to the castle. She would come to regret it later, not examining the beast, because it would haunt her dreams. Those eyes! She would never be sure now, but before the creature charged her, those eyes pierced her soul. Burning, red eyes. Lillian managed to get back to the castle, but how she couldn't remember. One moment she was in the forest, and the next she was back at the castle. The last sliver of sun was just slipping behind the horizon. Dinner would be getting underway, but she didn't feel like eating with everyone. She didn't feel like anything. She was numb, not just physically, but mentally. The adrenaline rush had left her body spent and exhausted. She mindlessly walked into the kitchen and let one of Pierre's assistants know she wouldn't be joining the rest of the family tonight. She mumbled something about being tired and that she'd grab something later. Lillian made it back to her room somehow. It was then she finally broke down, collapsing to her knees. Tears welled up in her eyes. What had happened? The day's events ran through her mind like a gushing waterfall. Now more than ever, Lillian needed someone to talk to. But she couldn't go back downstairs like this. She thought about Alondra and how she might come bring her dinner, but who Lillian really wanted to talk to was, "Sweetie, are you okay?" Lillian turned with tears trickling down her face. Snow White shut the door just in time to receive a running embrace from her daughter. Now, in the comfort of her mother's arms, Lillian's emotions poured out. Tears cascaded down her cheeks. Through uncontrolled sobs, she managed to get out pieces. "In forest, 2 men, I killed it. There was nothing I could do." Even pieces she didn't mean to share. "I don't want to marry Richard." Lillian pulled back and looked at her mom through watery eyes. "I don't want to marry Richard, Mom. I don't love him." She put her head back on her mother's chest. "I don't love him." "Shh, it's okay, sweetie, it's okay. Lillian, no one has married anyone." Lillian led her daughter to the bed. "Here, honey, just sit down for a moment. It's okay. Let it out, it's okay." Snow White stroked Lillian's hair while they just sat for a moment. Lillian took a few deep breaths and wiped her face off. "Thanks, Mom." Lillian sat up. "But how did you know?" "I ran into Annabelle while she was setting the table, and your place was empty. She told me you had come into the kitchen." "But I didn't look like this then." Lillian allowed a small chuckle as she caught her reflection in the vanity. Snow White smiled at her daughter. Sometimes a mother just knows. You'll understand someday. Lillian was quickly recalling what she had blurted out during her breakdown. Oh no. Mom, about what I said, I didn't mean... It's okay, Lillian. I only caught some things, but you might want to clear it up for me. It sounded like you killed 2 men in the forest. What? No. Did I mention the men? Well, I figured that, her mom said with a knowing look. Why don't you just take a deep breath and tell me what's on your mind? Lillian took her time, choosing her words carefully. She didn't want to lie to her mom, but once again she was afraid she wouldn't be allowed back into the forest if her parents knew about the 2 men she had seen disappear. She disguised that truth by saying it was just a play on her mind, a couple of trees and bushes that reflected weirdly in the light. She didn't, however, leave out the part about the crazed buck that had attacked her, which brought on another bout of tears and sobs. Snow White held her daughter again and consoled her. It was just I don't know. There was something about its eyes. I've never seen anything like it, Mom. I know these animals. You know these animals. I'd never seen it before. It does sound very strange. Snow White had a distant look on her face. But it's not completely unheard of. Lillian looked surprised. What do you mean? Well, it's been a very long time, almost since you were born, but when Zoldyne was still in power, there were stories of animals that came from the other side, animals that didn't act right. The Queen took a deep breath. I'll have Sir Alger look into it. In the meantime, I want you to stay closer to the castle. What? No, I mean, sure, but like you said, it's been a really long time. I'm sure it'll be fine. I just wandered too close to the wall is all. Lillian was hoping that would be enough to convince her mom to change her mind. Snow White looked at her daughter. Lillian. Oh no, what? What's really going on, sweetie? Just because I rule a kingdom doesn't mean I don't notice what's going on with my own family. You've been going to the forest a lot lately. I know you've been practicing your archery, which is fine, but why the sudden interest? You can practice here at the castle just as easily as you can out there. Lillian was afraid of this. Her mom, although naive at times, was very insightful. Oh, Mom, Lillian said, tears welling up again. I don't know what to do. What, sweetie? I promise you can tell me. Right now, you're just my daughter, and I'm just your mother. No titles here. So please, just tell me. I won't judge. Lillian wiped a tear from her cheek. You never do, Mom. Lillian took a deep breath. I met someone. Met someone? At the party? What happened to Richard? You are still dating Richard, right? Yes, Mom, yes. Richard and I are still dating, but how could she put this? But you don't have any feelings for him? Said her mother. Naive but insightful. Yes, Lillian said, her eyes welling up with fresh tears. Yes. And you're not sure what to do about it? Yes. She should have known to talk to her mom about this a long time ago. Sweetie, I know I didn't have to go through all this, but I do understand more than you think. I'm always battling the responsibilities of my kingdom versus the ones to my family. Why do you think I make sure to bake your cakes personally? Lillian smiled. Snow White pulled her daughter up next to her and smiled. Now, I know they don't always turn out the best, Lillian snickered, but it's my way of showing you kids how much I love you. I know, Mom, and we really do appreciate it. They've definitely made for some interesting anecdotes during parties. Ah! Snow White playfully pushed her daughter down into the pillows. Well, I'm just glad this year's didn't chase you around. They both had a good laugh at that. But seriously, Lillian, I just want you to be happy. And if you're not happy with Richard, then don't date him. No one said you had to marry him. Really? Lillian couldn't begin to tell her mom how good it felt to hear her say that. Of course. I just thought, now that I'm 18, what, that your father and I couldn't wait to get the castle to ourselves and have you married off? Well, not like that, but sweetie, I want you to enjoy your life. I want you to have choices and experiences, but I never want you to feel pressured that you have to live a life you don't want or that I expect you to be me. But I do, Mom. I do want this life. I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I guess I never realized how much you lost, how much you didn't get to experience. Oh, Mom, I don't want to leave. I mean, someday, but not right now. Well, I don't want you to leave right now either, the Queen reassured her daughter as she kissed her on the forehead. And please know that I don't regret any experience I had or didn't have. That's not what I meant. I love the life I have with your father and how it happened, because it all led to right here, where I have a wonderful life and a beautiful family. Have there been rough times? Sure. Nobody's life is perfect, especially for royalty. But that's the interesting part about it all. You never know where choices or experiences are going to lead you. All you can do is make the right choice in that moment. If you're true to yourself, then you'll never have to look back with regret because you were the best person you could be at the time. Lillian had forgotten how much she enjoyed talking to her mom. I tell you what, let's have a day together. It's been too long for us girls to just get out and shop. How does tomorrow work? I have some things to do, but I'm sure your father can handle them. I'd like that. Lillian was going to practice again, but she didn't think she could after today. Then it's settled. After breakfast, we'll head out and have a little mother-daughter bonding. She gave Lillian one last big hug. And Lil, no pressure, but whenever you want to tell me who he is, I'm here to listen. Okay, Mom, I will. In the meantime, will you do me a favor? Sure, sweetie, what is it? Don't tell Dad about any of it. He's got enough on his plate right now, and there's no need to worry about me. It'll stay between us girls, the Queen said with a wink. Get some rest. I'll have Annabelle bring up something to eat. Thanks, Mom. Lillian never found out what Annabelle brought up. She had fallen asleep, hoping not to be haunted by red eyes.